Hey, welcome back to Wasteland Wednesdays. I can't believe it has been a week since we were last here, and I'm really excited to find out what happens next. There's fire, there's the hint of, well, infection, of mutation within the forest, and plenty of D10s. So, I've got my dice, I have my character sheets, plural, got my pencil, and I'm ready for another delve into Vermin 2047. So, the devious dungeons, foreboding forests, and the coolest cats. My name's Phil. Welcome back to Wasteland Welcome back to Wasteland Wednesdays. Please hit like, please subscribe, please comment down below with what you think of the game as we go back in to our actual play of Vermin with the Dark Orb. Welcome back, everyone.
Hello.
I'd love to blame the beer, as I have actually opened a beer this evening, but I've had like half a sip, and anyone who knows me knows when it comes to drinking, I am a lightweight, but yeah, not that much. How are you all? It's been a few days.
It's been a few days. I'm good, thanks. Yeah.
It's been a whole week.
Yes,
Apparently.
absolutely. It has definitely been a week since the last
Wednesday
episode.
again.
Yes, you can tell by our wardrobe changes that it has been a few days. A number greater than 0 days. I'm really excited to be back here, though. It's been a lot of fun. We've said this every week, but yeah, I think this game continues to delight and provide plenty of entertainment for us. Hopefully, some for you at home.
Hope so.
Oh, Neil, how are you?
I'm all right, thanks. Yeah,
Good.
I'm also joining you in a beer today. I've got my cherry sour.
Oh, excellent! I almost had the cherry sour from our friends up the road, Black Iris Brewery, but I've got, what is this? I'm not entirely sure, and I've got Old Man Ice, so bear with me for a second. It is, it's American. Woven Water Brew, Solace Coffee Porter from Tampa. Yeah, I had a little taste of it. It's really tasty, really good. There you go. You can check that out.
Nice.
So we'll be having lots of delicious beers whilst we are at Oktoberfest on October 14th, and hopefully that's in the future at this point. I think it will be. Yeah, we are chronologically challenged at this point. Chris, how are you?
I'm good, thank you. But I didn't get the memo. I don't have a beer.
Oh dear! Is this because if you want a beer, you have to open a keg of homebrewed deliciousness?
I've only got a keg in the house. I say that with a I should open the keg.
With a teary eye.
It's been there for a while. Yeah. So I don't want to waste it.
It's never a waste, but you have to be prepared to drink it and keep it.
Exactly. Yeah, you got to drink it for about a week, 10 days, something like that.
Yeah, you can manage that. Wouldn't be the first time.
I'm away next week, so I can't. Yeah.
It does look suspiciously like you've got a shelf full of alcohol right behind you, Chris.
Yeah, it's technically not mine.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
There's only one
technicalities.
Yeah, right. Been there for ages. Not one anymore.
There must be a point where you can just claim public domain or something.
Oh, I could totally go for the cheaper stuff. Yeah.
That's what we all do. Johnny, how are you doing? Good to see you.
I'm very well, thank you.
Good.
Good to be here. I don't have a beer either, unfortunately.
Shocking. Well, we might manage to grab a little break in the recording. So at that point, you can probably still not have a beer because let's face it, it is a school night. We do all have work, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, as always, we're going to try and pass the game up to Neil. This time I'm going to do something a bit different. I'm actually going to take the game up by the corners. I'm going to fold it into a paper airplane and
Wrong side
every
again.
time hit you in the back of the head, mate. Yeah, luckily it circled around your head.
Exactly.
And yeah, all right then, mate. Here you go. Boom.
Yay. Thanks. So we had a fun little fight at the end of the
Fun
last
fight.
session. As you helped your sort of, I guess, not exactly your community, but the community that you found yourself in, at least temporarily, the Aeolians, as they were interrupted in the communal meal by an attack. Well, not really an attack, but a stampede, maybe would be a good word, of a crazed wild boar coming from out the forest. And so you valiantly leapt to their aid with your guns and sledgehammer and helped them defend against the wild boar. And it was established once you'd dealt with the issue, as far as you could tell anyway, that they seem to have been kind of driven crazy by stings. And you've already heard about the giant hornets in the forest, which is why the community has a ban on going into the forest. So yes, that's where we kind of finished up. Mono, Phil's character, who has a real phobia of infection, saw these kind of welts on these crazy boar that were rushing at you all, lost it a little bit, and found himself locked or kind of hiding for safety in the gardener's shed, where he realized he could, using his advanced jury rigging skills, which is something he's very good at, realized he could rig up basically a flamethrower, a kind of chemical flamethrower, and marched out of the hut, flames flying everywhere, to destroy what was left of the bodies.
Let's face it, the battle, if you like, had finished at this point.
It actually had, yes, it's true.
But I didn't know that. I just came out like guns a-blazing, if you like.
Yeah, exactly. One of the bodies of the dead pigs was saved by the villagers. A bit of damage was done also to the gardener's shed. I don't think that's going to be standing for very much longer.
Damage. I'm hoping it goes up in flames about 5 minutes after I walk away.
It probably will.
With a boom.
But nevertheless, despite destroying the gardener's shed, you have proven yourself to the village by leaping to their safety. So that's where we ended up. So although none of you were injured actually in the fight, you did all lose quite a lot of your pool dice, some more than others. So you're feeling both kind of tired, stressed out, and also physically exhausted, albeit not actually injured as such. So you're probably looking forward to a night's sleep. And I think given that the hut is in the middle of this farm area, there's no other buildings nearby, there's not much wind. So in fact, I think probably what happens is it catches light. Phil, as you said, there'd be some chemicals and bits and pieces in there. It is made of wood, so it would go up pretty easily.
Not wood.
Yeah, wood. So I think probably they're content to actually just let it burn, because it's kind of too late to save at this point, and it's not going to endanger the rest of the village. So you make your way back to the sort of village proper, where the village elder, Laura, is waiting with the rest of the folk kind of eagerly for news. Obviously, they're overjoyed to see all of you coming back and relatively uninjured. Laia has just a bit of a kind of a gouge on her arm, and Doc comes up to kind of greet you all and give you a quick kind of check over, and he sees that and starts to kind of see to it. And you're welcomed back. You're thanked. And after a very brief kind of summary of what happened, very, very brief, Laura says, well, it's late. I'm sure you could all use a rest. I suggest we all meet, all of us, tomorrow morning. We can discuss what has happened and indeed what our next plans might be from here. Clearly, this needs some thought. I don't think this is the time for it. I think we need to rest, sleep, and tomorrow we will make a decision. And to our newcomers, we wouldn't normally do this until someone has been accepted fully into our community. But given that you leapt to our defense so admirably, Merc and I have discussed it briefly, and we think we would like to give you a vote. If it comes to a vote tomorrow, we would like to give all of you a vote as well to influence the decision. It seems only fair.
Much appreciated. Thank you very much.
Of course. Well, thank you. Thank you. And so with that, unless there's anything else you want to do, I suggest that we you take your advice, get some sleep, and then we kind of fast forward to the next morning.
Can we have
Unless
a
there's
healing
anything you wanna
montage?
Do a healing montage. Well, we could have a more interesting healing montage if any of you are actually injured. But as you're not, it's relatively straightforward.
I need to work out what to do about my nerve and strain, but apart from that...
Yeah, well, actually, it's really simple. It gets complicated if you've got wounds, but as none of you have, a proper rest is sufficient to heal all of both of your dice pools.
I can live with that.
So tonight counts. The only thing that I think I'm going to slightly adjust, sorry, Phil.
No, it's cool.
I
think -2.
I think for Mono, because he would still be, although, he did his cleansing by fire, I think he'd still be a little bit rattled by the way things went. So I think for Mono, recover all but one nerve
In
dice.
both pools.
No, just
nerve
nerve.
and strain.
No, because strain's
okay.
just physical.
Okay.
Can I pull Mono aside while we're going to rest?
Stab me in the back.
And stab you in the back and leave you around the corner? No. I don't have a knife. But I have an ability called Hive Authority. And I can test to try and give you some nerve back. And I essentially want to kind of pull you to one side and be like, look, I know you're afraid and all, but you can't go around just destroying all these things. The fire does not solve every problem, and you've just destroyed all the chemicals that farmer guy had that I was talking to. That's all he had left. Is like, just try and be a little bit more rational about it next time, because these things, they were never going to infect you. It was a mistake. They were just attacked by the hornets.
We didn't
you
know
would have been
this
fine.
We didn't know this when I went back to the.
I know you didn't know it when you ran away.
The flamethrower.
The problem is when you ran out, the battle had stopped, and you carried on.
No, when I ran to the shed,
but when you came out, the battle had stopped. When you came out, you pulled the trigger. That's all I'm saying.
I was pulling the trigger before I opened the door.
A little bit more thought about your actions will probably go a long way to helping the community here survive a little bit longer.
I was clear about my actions. I had to get rid of this infection.
But that's what I was saying. It wasn't an infection. If you'd heard the conversation rather than running away, you'd have known that.
I didn't run away. I ran to the shed to do this.
Away from everybody else.
To the shed.
Dangerous in itself. If you run away from everyone, who knows what's going to happen?
I ran to the shed.
Could have been a guy with a shotgun. Could have just shot you.
Well, that's not very much of a community spirit, is it?
He might have not been in the community. I don't know. You could have scared him.
By running away, as you call it.
You did run away.
I ran.
That scared me.
build this.
What would we do with only 2 of us driving it when we can't drive your van? 12
think
doesn't know how
12
to
would be
drive
fine.
properly.
He's fine. He just has to drive slow.
Look, just be careful next time, okay? Next time, I don't want to see any fire involved, ideally.
Well, you know me. This is not something I can promise.
It's something we can hope for, at least. I'm gonna hope for it next time, all right?
I'll try to be more attentive if the situation is changing.
Most certainly. Any kind of time we can learn from our mistakes is always an improvement in ourselves we can make. And I need to make a will plus psychology test against a 7.
But after that vague
says-
confrontation, you probably don't really feel like it.
And it says restore 1 nerf pool die per success. So will plus psychology would be 3 plus psychology 1.
Plus a
4
reroll.
dice and a reroll. Well, I only need 1 success. I got a 10 and a 9, 2 9s. So 3 successes. So you could have restored 3 nerf. But you can have your 1 nerf.
But I'm not going to let you have that.
I'm going to restore the nerve of the farmer.
Yeah.
Probably a good idea.
No, that's for everyone. So yeah, it doesn't necessarily say 1 person. It just says
Oh,
the
nice.
nerf pool die per success.
What does that cost you? Anything?
No, just says it's an ability, a hive ability.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's quite good.
This is before we go to rest.
As we go up, as we go back
Yeah.
to rest. Yeah.
Okay. I'm just
Yeah.
wondering if, because you'd need to fully restore his nerve, would you? Is that what you're shooting for? Because once he rests, he'll get a reset apart from 1 on the nerve.
Gives him
Yeah.
that 1. Yeah. Because
Okay.
this would take you to full anyway, right?
Have we just lost? No, we haven't. I thought we just lost Johnny for a second then.
Because
Well,
how
it's-
many nerf were you done?
It's kind of it's a moot point because
Yeah.
we could it's a
The
bit
rest
gamey,
fits
but we
this.
could say you have if you wanted to, you could say you have that discussion in the morning to recover that 1 that you didn't. So I mean, whatever, it doesn't
Could do. Yeah.
make any difference, does it? One way or another.
Going back to the fight that you guys were having.
Discussion.
I feel discussion, a heated discussion. Sort of, I feel 12 will sort of like be there, sort of waiting for you guys. Hands on the sledgehammer, and that when she sort of walks over, just as he hears Iris saying about, just no more fire in the future. Don't want to see any more fire. I'd be like, so do you think maybe we should, in case we come up against these hornets, we make a few more flamethrowers just in case? Because it's going to be hard to shoot them with rifles. And just see how that goes down. Basically say, do we want to make a few more?
I think just as you say that, you can see me passive aggressively beginning to completely disassemble this flamethrower. And I'm like, like the grumpy kid who's just been told off. Just like destroying it now. So if I can't have it, no one can have it. So I just turn to you and say, sure, if you want to, here. And I give you like a handful of bits and just drop them on the floor in front of you.
Thanks. I don't know how these go together. I'm good with engines, but not this kind of stuff. What did you use as the flammable substance? Was it fuel or pesticide?
Fertilizer.
Fertilizer. Very good. Very good. Okay.
There might be
There's
some.
none of that left now, though. That's all gone. Just that whatever's left in that little bucket, and that'll be about it.
Okay.
At that point, I actually processed what you were saying earlier, and that's probably about the time. If we're doing this the night before, that's about the time when you just hear the kind of the boom of the shed going up.
Yeah.
None of us even turn to look at it. We know what it is. So just like, boom, we're just like, if any of us look or even says anything, it's just going to set off an argument. So we're just like, well,
Okay.
I don't know about you guys, but I'm pretty beat. Shall we I don't know. Did they assign us some bunks here, or I didn't get to speak to the lady in charge? I don't know if
Yeah.
we,
So actually, it's not something I said, is it? But yeah. So you've been given a room each, no less, in one of the sort of bigger, more modern buildings, sort of towards the edge. It hasn't been fully kind of done up, but it's it's kind of clean and dry and solid. And there's some half decent beds. So it's, it hasn't got electric to it yet. No hot shower, but still, compared with sleeping on the road or sleeping in the van or whatever, it's pretty luxurious actually.
It's an easy hotel, not a Premier Inn. That's what you're saying.
Exactly. Exactly. 3 stars on TripAdvisor, maybe.
And all of those are from people who work there.
Yeah. So you have probably a very good night's sleep and wake up feeling revitalized. And you don't want to miss the discussion, or for that matter, breakfast, if there's anything going. So you hurry over to the hall, the meeting hall, same place where you had your dinner, and sure enough, there is some breakfast being prepared. Nothing fancy, some kind of porridge. You're not actually sure if it's oats but some kind of grain. It's pretty basic, but there's some. It seems like they've got a tub of cinnamon or something from somewhere, so it's got a little bit of nice flavour to it. Kind of, fills you up a bit, keeps you going. It's not exactly a luxurious breakfast, but it's all right. And everyone's already gathered there, and everyone's kind of talking, and you can see lots of discussion going on, of course, about last night and what happened. And looks like actually you're pretty much the last to get there. Everyone's obviously got there really early. And as you walk in, Park comes up. He as soon as you walk in, he kind of sees you, and he strolls right over, and he kind of holds out his hand to shake your hands, and he says, "I know I said it last night, but I don't know how that would have turned out without your help. So, as far as I'm concerned, we owe you."
Well, thank you. Yeah, well, I would say it's our pleasure, but it's kind of our duty nowadays.
Well, again, thank you. Probably Gardner is maybe the one person who's looking at you with slightly less supportive look. But he doesn't say anything. You just kind of notice he looks a bit grumpy. And pretty much as soon as you get there, Laura kind of bangs on a table. She just gets a spoon and kind of bangs on the side of the table to get everyone's attention. And she recounts again the sort of basics of what happened last night, just so that everyone's very clear. And then she says, "This is not the first time, as you all know, that we've had problems with these hornets. They've driven animals towards us before, never in such quantity or with such damage as last night. But regardless, they are becoming more and more of a problem. As you know, we brought in the new rule, the 4th rule, to stay out of the forest as a temporary measure while we worked out what we would do about these hornets. We're no closer to making that decision. I feel that maybe last night was a turning point, and I think we should each have the opportunity to speak our minds, to say what we think, and indeed, if we have any ideas or thoughts, and then, if necessary, we will, as is our custom, we will take a vote, and one way or another, a decision needs to be made. And if that decision is to wait for now, then so be it. We will be guided, as always, by the majority decision. And so then she literally kind of goes round, person by person, and a lot of people kind of just say, well, I don't really know. I'm happy to let others with more expertise kind of say what they need to say, and so some people just kind of hedge or sort of abstain. Some people have got stronger views. The gardener speaks up, and he says that he's very upset that months and months of work were destroyed. He makes a point of saying it by the boar, but he looks over at Mono as he says it, and so he votes for sending a force into the forest to try and eradicate the hornets by some means. But then, when pushed, he admits, actually, I don't really know how we do that, but that's kind of what he would like to do some way or another. Park and Lyre have obviously discussed it together and have a sort of present the same view as each other, that they think more kind of research is needed, maybe a trip should go into the forest, but more investigative, try and work out exactly where they are, like maybe what sets them off, a bit more cautious to try and get more knowledge about them. That's their point of view. And the other sort of maybe quite interesting view is Merc, the much younger woman. And remember, she's in charge of the basically pest control. She says that she'd be interested in trying out a version of the repellent that she uses for the massive ant colony on the other side of the village, to see if she can adapt that to work. But she's got no idea if she can or not, but that's her idea, that maybe that might be a way forwards, but she's not sure. It'd take a bit of kind of playing around with. And you do get the feeling, as everyone speaks, that there is overall a real reluctance from almost all of them just to go into the forest. Like they don't seem to want to go into the forest, generally speaking. And then you're left till last. But then Laura invites you three to, if you want to, she says you don't have to, but if you want to give any ideas or make any point that you would like to, having had first-hand interaction with seen the chaos and been part of the defense of the village, she's keen to know if you have anything to add.
I don't know if I'd have anything to add to that, but I'm pretty sure that I've never heard of no creatures banding together to drive animals towards a certain location. There's something in the forest that's not very obvious to y'all. If that's just super clever hornets, then so be it. Maybe this bug spray will work, but I don't feel any kind of problem in civilization before or after what happened recently. It's never been the creatures. It's always been man.
There's a few nods to that and a few kind of puzzled looks.
I would be interested to know, I mean, how long have these hornets been a problem?
They're new-ish. We've been here for some time. Maybe, and she sort of looks to one of the others, 3-4 months. And, it's kind of a nod. Yeah, something like that.
What else has changed?
Yeah, good question. We have considered that. Indeed, we first wondered if something we were doing would be attracting them. But as far as we can work out, nothing changed particularly 3 or 4 months ago that could have brought them to us. As far as we can tell, just chance.
As a little kind of side thing to the three of us, could I just kind of not whisper but not talk loudly? Is that when did they say that Paul guy went missing? Hadn't he been gone for 3 months?
Mm-hmm.
Was it 4? Was it 1 month or was it 3 months? I can't remember.
I remember it being longer than I had expected.
It was a decent
Maybe he
amount
set
of time,
something up.
but he did have the hornets marked on his map already. So unless he did that after he left, doing whatever he was doing, I don't know.
Maybe we can ask Lyre and Park about the map later. They seem to know what Paul was up to an extent.
I'm not convinced, but maybe anyone else knows what his interests were, why he didn't come back. Because his body is not 4 months rotted.
Maybe he was coming back. Who's to say when his radio broke?
True. The question as well is that he was shot. He wasn't stoned, so they don't seem to be too worried about bandits or these raiders being nearby.
Well, they were a little worried when we came in, but not in the compound itself.
Yes.
They're more worried when we were over where we found him.
Fair play.
They can't be far away.
I wonder if there is a perimeter to the hornets. Are they contained in some way?
For me, I definitely think that we should only go if we are prepared, and perhaps have a plan, maybe some sort of, like Park and Lyre are saying, go in just to investigate. I mean, we can kill 1,000 hornets, but if we do not get the queen in the nest, then we have the same problem in a couple of months. So it would be useless
we
to
also
go in.
we don't want to get ahead of ourselves though either. It's not our community. We should go with whatever they vote for, or whatever we think they're going to vote for at least. We don't want to.
We should definitely proceed with caution on this.
We don't want to poke the hornet's nest in the community as well.
Get out. So I kind of look up and say, before the hornets, is there anything else that previously was in the forest around there? Was like natural water springs, habitations, anything?
Nothing of note. There was there's an old it used to be used as a hiking spot. So there's like a car park and just old kind of hiking trails, but nothing of a special value if that's what you're getting at.
It just seems to me odd that from nowhere these creatures, they come and they stay. There must be some reason.
Something that's attracting them to the area.
Or something that is making it good enough to not leave.
True.
I think I have an idea, and with that, I reach
Pulls
into
out
my
the flamethrower.
yeah. I reach into my bag, and I pull out the remote control for the drone. Maybe we should explore, my friends.
This is a very good idea.
Do you reckon they've got any parts here to be able to improve that screen? It's a little bit scratched up.
I'm sure if they do, they'd be more than happy to have a drone investigate rather than send some of their people in. I'll definitely make that request, Mono. Also, just throwing it out there, maybe if I forget her name. She builds those. She makes the mixture that keeps the ants away, and she might have a new formula for the hornets. Maybe
Merc.
it might be a good idea to put Merc.
Yeah.
Maybe
Smirks.
we apply a bit of that to the drone and see its effects, or transport some of it in and.
I wonder
See if they
if
stay
we
clear of it.
could jury rig, because I've remembered I can do this. The some kind of I think somewhere, maybe on the floor in front of you, 12, there is some facility for spraying chemicals. Maybe we could put this on the drone and try this mixture.
This could be a good idea, yes.
I think I'll need your help.
And then you should have it.
I turn to the group and say, I have few skills, but one of them is I'm a good drone pilot. So maybe we can. My accent is completely broken now. Maybe we can look to sending a drone into the forest and find out what kind of party they're having. And we can try this mixture for you whilst we're at it. Then maybe we have more information for making decision.
And she says, "Thank you. That's an excellent suggestion."
As long as they're no more than 6 or 7 minutes away, because the battery not so good.
Well, could we not drive up to that car park in the van and then just keep the doors closed?
They also have some sort of battery technology to store the power coming from the wind turbines. So perhaps there is something that we could use to improve the battery there.
Right. I look up and sort of ask the question with my expression on my face, basically.
She says, I've no doubt we can do something to, well, certainly if we have the parts you need, then of course you're very welcome. If you can upgrade your drone, then by all means we'd love to help. But I think this is a good point to have a vote. I think we have 3 options available to us. We can follow Gardner's lead and take an offensive stance. We can follow Park and Lyre and Mono's suggestion of gather more information first. And I believe the way to do that would be with the kind help of Mono and his drone. Or we can take the most cautious route of waiting and staying away for now and seeing what happens. So these are the 3 options in front of us. I think we should vote and we'll see what the community decides. And so she asks for a show of hands. Presumably you 3 are going to vote for your own idea. Yeah,
As long as at least 2 other people vote for it, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we don't want to be that
the
that
only
one
one.
person who suggests an idea and then
No.
Everyone just looking at you. So almost nobody votes with Gardner. Particularly, I think after your suggestion, that probably sounds a little bit rash. So there's Gardner and 1 or 2 others. A surprising number of people seem to vote to stay out and just wait, not do anything. Probably more than you would have thought vote for that option. But the majority, particularly with you 3 added in, and it's not a massive majority, but the slight majority goes with the drone plan. The kind of gather more information and then make a decision, which you might have thought was the obvious thing to do, but it's clear that a lot of them are on the more cautious side. But that's the suggestion that wins. So Laura says, I suggest that the 3 of you, or Mono especially, I suggest that you talk with Park and Merc. Park is our tracker and hunter. He knows the forest well. And Merc is our animal expert. If anyone can understand the hornets, she would. And she also has an amazing instinctive ability to make her way around the forest. Between the 2 of them, and with your own expertise, I think you'll be able to handle the detailed planning. Just let us know what you think, and if you need any help, then of course, please just make it known. And with that, the group sort of begins to disband. Some people kind of walk out to begin their day, and people are kind of chatting in little groups amongst themselves. One of the things that catches your ear is someone who you don't know, quite near to you, muttering, sort of complaining to a friend, and saying, "Oh, you notice Al's not here?" And then his mate says, "Of course he's not. He can't be asked, can he? Got more important things to do, I expect." And, yeah, but this is pretty important. Is that? Yeah, I know. I was being sarcastic. And they're kind of having this little sort of discussion. Clearly, they're not surprised that Al isn't here. And Al, your characters would remember, even if the players don't. Al was the mechanic who arrived recently, who stays in a caravan up by the power plant.
Do you think we should go see him? Because he might have more parts for your drone as well.
I think so, and I think he dealt with the setting of the power, so he might know about the battery, so that might help. Overhearing those 2 people talking, saying, "Oh, Al's not here," I might just sort of quickly approach and say, "Sorry, I couldn't help but overhear you talking about Al. I was just wondering, he arrived here recently. How recently did he arrive?"
Oh, Al, he was, recently-ish. At least a good, probably best part of a year.
Okay.
Something like that, 7-8 months. He's the newest member of the community. Well, if you can call him that. To be honest, I've never really taken to the guy. He seems all right, but he keeps himself to himself. He only comes into the village when he needs supplies. We work by being a community, and don't get me wrong, he's doing a really important job, because we're all about getting the electric working, and he's really helping us with that, or so I gather. But I don't know. I don't think he's going to stay. I think he hasn't integrated. I think he's just waiting for the right time to leave. And look, you know, everyone is here today. You only joined us yesterday, and you're here, and helping us and giving us ideas, and he's just, I know, well, where is he? That's the point. He's in his caravan, or he's doing whatever he's doing. It's not good enough, really, if you ask me.
Some people have their reasons for not wanting to always be on parade.
Well, that's fair. That's fair. But like I say, we are a community, and this was an important discussion this morning. I just think it would have been good if he'd at least shown his face.
Have you ever seen Al anywhere that it seems strange to see him? Is it just always like in his caravan, or does he like head off to the forest to hunt or anywhere else? Or...
I've barely ever seen him, really. Like I say, I mean, I don't have anything to do with. I'm the potter, so I don't have anything really to do with the electric. It's a bit beyond me. So I don't really go up there. I don't have any need to. And like I say, I only see him when he comes into town, and that's only when he needs some supplies. So we've bumped into each other, had some little chats when he first arrived. We had a bit of a chat, but I wouldn't know really. But no, I mean, the answer's no. I haven't seen him. Like, he just comes in to get some food or bits and pieces or whatever. Sometimes there's a chat with one of the whoever's in the leader role at the time, or Laura or whoever, and then he's back off doing his thing.
Thank you very much. You've been very helpful.
And
So, guys,
I mean, his caravan's just up by the power station. Like, if you want to go and chat to him, that's where he'll be. You'll find him there for sure.
So, guys, do you think we should head off and have a chat with Al before we do anything else?
I think yes.
Yeah. Then let's go.
Okay. So it's you've basically got the village, and you've got a little bit of farmland around the outside of some of it, and you've got the forest over to the kind of north and west. The power station's over to the east, so you're heading away from the forest, and it's a reasonable, like, it's a good sort of mile and a half to what they're calling the power station. And when you get there, it's a bit of a grand term for essentially a kind of a hut with some cables coming out of it and a very basic battery inside. And the actual turbines themselves are then at least another mile onwards, and you can see them very clearly, obviously, from here. And maybe even actually as you sort of get closer, you get to see some of the fallen and smashed, whether by storms, because when the collapse happened, there was this freak, as indeed there still is, freak weather conditions. Maybe it was sabotage, but in any case, they're knackered. So you sort of see that in the distance. But yeah, the power station is a sturdy built small hut with cables coming in from one side and out the other way. So heading from the turbines and then to the village. And a slightly shabby caravan just kind of stuck at an angle next to this hut. And there's like a washing line out the front, and there's the drum of a washing machine that's been kind of put on its side to use as like a fire pit kind of thing, and you can see some ashes in there, so someone's been having a fire or there. So it's a little kind of like campsite type setup. As you get closer, I mean, assume you walk up. You have got your van, but I'm kind of imagining you walk.
Yeah.
Probably you'd want to conserve fuel apart from anything else. So as you head up, you do hear the sound of some kind of movement from inside the caravan, and a little, actually, some slightly tuneless whistling.
Who's going to take the lead on this one? I think it's got to be one of you two, because you can talk sharp with him, right?
He's a mechanic. Let the mechanics talk. So stupid gears and hydraulics. And lubricant. Why are you always so obsessed with lubricant?
So Ira, maybe you watch for just check if you think maybe he's lying about anything or something strange. You hear he's a bit of perhaps a strange chap, but maybe all mechanics are really. But yeah, I think we'll talk shop and see what we can do. So yeah, 12's gonna sort of just perhaps walk up and knock briskly, but not too disrespectfully loud, but so that he definitely hears, and just shout, "Hello, hello, Al."
Come in. There's a short wait, and then the door of the caravan opens up, and Al is a middle-aged guy. He's very scruffy. You kind of see inside the caravan is just stuff everywhere. There's clothes and bits and pieces, and plate with some kind of rotting food on it. It's kind of he's way too old to be a student, but it's like kind of a student digs kind of vibe to it. And he's got a few days stubble, long hair, slightly thinning, and he sort of looks a little bit surprised when he sees 12, and then he sort of looks behind you and he sees Mono and Ira. And, oh, hello. I'm Al, which I guess you seem to know already. You're sorry. Yes, of course. You're the new Mano and sorry, I've forgotten. What is it? I'm Al. Sorry, let me start again. I'm Al. Very nice to meet you. And you are?
Good to meet you, Al. I'm 12.
12. That was
This is Mono over here.
Mono. Nice to meet Mono. Nice to meet you.
And over here we've got Ira.
Ira. Very nice to meet you, Ira. Yes, 12. Mono. Ira. Got it. So, what brings you up to this, my humble abode?
Oh, well, firstly, we wanted to say hello, introduce ourselves, but we've been admiring some of the work you've been doing on the community here. Your work with the power is fantastic. And also, perhaps at the end, we might be asking if you could do us a favor. I don't know if you heard about the attack last night. Attack, stampede. I don't know how you want to put this.
A little bit.
But
yeah. I hear you were the heroes of the hour.
Oh, we merely helped out where help was needed. So,
Well, good for you.
Thank you. But yeah, we had some questions about if you could help us. There was a vote this morning. Basically, we are looking into investigating what caused the stampede last night. We think it's to do with the hornets in the woods, so we wanted to get your opinion on them. And yes, we probably have lots of questions, and yes, I'm not sure where the best place to do that would be.
Well, I'm very happy to show you my work. Why don't I give you a little tour of the power plant?
That'd be fantastic. Thank you. Yes.
He climbs down from the caravan, walks over, and takes some keys from his belt. It's just a simple padlock on the door. It unlocks the padlock, lets you in, and it's slightly flashier than maybe it looked from the outside. It's not by any means a high-tech setup, and you can tell that there's a lot of salvaged stuff in here. Nothing quite matches to a trained eye. Probably Mono and 12 could both get a sense that it's kind of bodged together, but nevertheless quite impressive actually. And Neil, don't know anything about how this would work, so I'm not going to go into the details. I'm just going to say that he shows you around and points out all the clever things, and he says, to be honest with you, I mean, you've been very kind, but I mean, I'm not doing anything all that difficult, really. A lot of my time just is spent doing basic welding, and I've been trying to weld cables together. It's a fair distance. This is the problem. It's a fair distance to get down to the village from here, and then the village is a fair size. Our biggest problem by far is not enough cables. That is literally the limiting factor, that we just can't get the power where we need it. So we've got it down to the village, but then cables. We need lots more cables. So really, my day-to-day job is just keeping an eye on it, really, to be quite honest with you. It's a bit boring, really, to be honest, but important, I suppose.
You're very, very humble, Al. There are some things in here that's fantastic. Really good work, top notch. You should be commended for this. And I don't know anything about it as well, so I'm just going to point at a couple of things. Really good work here and over here. Brilliant. Don't know how you did it.
Genuinely, no idea.
Look at that resistor. That's a brilliant resistor, that is.
I think it's a resistor.
Yeah.
The fuse. Fuses are resistors. Watch it up now.
Would you want a resistor in a battery? Sort of.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe so. Maybe.
Exactly. That's the genius, you see.
So, Al, you say that one of the limiting factors is getting cable. Have you got any other plans? I know that speaking with some of the others around town, they say that it would be great to expand, to produce more power, store more power, for other projects, things like that. Have you got any sort of ideas for what may happen in the future, or what, any ways of improving this? And my character at this point is thinking perhaps he knows something about the power plant blueprints that was it Paul, the guy we found? Yeah. Just see if he's just gently probing, see if there's anything that, and hopefully if he's lying or he's hiding something, Ira's watching with her keen eye, and we'll notice a certain sort of shift in his behavior, whether body language or whatever.
Yeah. Okay.
Defensive. Yeah.
So sorry. The question is, are there any plans, basically?
Yeah. Anything that's to do with the future, sort of like the future of providing power, more power, or more stable power to the village, to the town.
Okay.
I might even drop in something like, is there anything else nearby that could be used, to generate power, or something like that? If the first things that he's saying don't really seem to be leading anywhere, I'll perhaps prod a little further.
Okay. Well, so far as I'm concerned, they've already had a really good look at the the fallen wind turbines. I'll use a technical term, as I can see that you'll appreciate it. They are completely fucked. The two that are up there are great, and we keep them going. I say we. I don't do much of it, but kind of keep them turning nicely. So that's sort of a limit on how much power we can produce. I know Laura had an idea that she'd love to get some solar going, but there's no panels. We'd have to find somewhere that had some panels and some working panels at that. And then if we could, then of course, we'd rig them up, and that would be amazing. But that's just a pipe dream, really. Without the kit, that's a no-go. So it's not really, to be honest. It's all about the cables. Laura did hint to me that it's possible that some cables might be coming, but I don't know.
Interesting. Thank you. On to looking at some of these things that you've managed to craft and sort of salvage and put together here. We've been tasked with investigating the forest a little bit more, and my friend Mono here, he has this fantastic drone. So I'm going to pass you over to him, and maybe he has a bit of a limited battery life at the moment. And we're wondering if you could maybe help us upgrade it somehow, or do something just to, I don't know, lighten it, or do something just so that it's operational a bit more in the air. Anything you can do to help with it, even if you're, I don't know if you're that technically minded, but if you've got some sort of expertise with camera systems, the one we've got at the moment is a little cracked, a little bit difficult to see sometimes.
Well, yeah, I'll have a look. What's this drone then, Mono?
Well, thank you, 12, for passing over to me and what he said. And reach into my bag and like unfold the drone, which I've obviously retrieved from the van. And it's not the smallest drone ever, so it's kind of in parts that I have to kind of assemble together. And I just say, well, just to confirm, it's the drone that has the problem with the battery, not me. For a start. But
agree to disagree.
But, thank you, friend. But yeah, basically the battery is not great. I have to be careful when I charge it now. The cameras are good. They're old military, but the screen, and I hold up the remote and turn it around and I power it up, and there's big cracks across it. And also, it looks like at some point someone, mentioning no names, may have. It's that thing where like you've used acetone instead of IPA, and so the screens, it's really hazy. Where 12, for whatever reason, I think 12 probably spilled some sort of drink on it and tried to clean it up using the wrong solvent, because all solvents are the same. Doesn't matter if it's on metal, right? So
I make my own brand
really
of
hazy.
moonshine. It tastes like battery acid, and it burns like it too if you spill it. So be careful.
So that sort of thing, and just sort of explaining, the battery life isn't great, and I'm concerned that the last thing we want to do is have the, if we're going to be in Murder Hornet Central, I'd quite like to be able to retrieve my drone. If they attack it, that's different. But if it just conks out, that's a little bit more annoying. And maybe also explain the idea of retrofitting some kind of sprayer onto there as well. Maybe we've kind of pull some parts together and say, well, I have a really good, in my van, a really good electronics station. This is more mechanical engineering, not quite so much my wheelhouse.
Interesting. This is not a bad bit of kit, actually, is it? You're sort of admiring
it's
the
aged
camera.
like a fine milk.
So yeah, I can see it needs a bit of TLC though, doesn't it?
I do what I can. It's hard to find airbrushes in this world. So
we can probably rig up. I mean, the sprayer. Rigging up the sprayer shouldn't be too difficult. Although, I mean, it's powerful-ish, but I think we wouldn't want to risk adding too much weight to it, right? I'm thinking like with a tank of fluid,
Oh yeah, this is
Feed
for
the sprayer.
testing, not for crop dusting.
Okay, so a little tiny. Okay, yeah, that should work. And the battery, I mean, I'm sure we can probably do something with that. This looks like it's seen better days. Yeah, I think we can do something. As for the screen, don't know. I mean, if I had a replacement and we could swap it out, or at least something that could sort of ad lib, but yeah, don't know. Not sure I can help much with the screen.
Maybe even just some polishing components.
Well, yeah,
Maybe we can
give it a
try and
try.
buff it
Give
out.
it a try.
Is that a Dremel there in the corner?
Dr. Emo.
Dr. Emo, yes.
It's like Dr. Urtka. The pizza over there.
Let's. So I think either Mono or 12 could do this because you've both been talking with him. Let's get just to kind of see how you're coming across. Let's get a roll of. I don't think either of you are going to be very good at this. Empathy, which you're both rubbish at.
Yeah, I've got 1D in empathy.
Plus. Actually.
What are you worst at? Empathy plus civilization.
Yeah, well, that's what it's going to be, isn't it? That's exactly. I'll tell you what. I'll make it slightly easier and make it empathy plus psychology.
Yeah, that's vaguely easier.
Which is not much easier, but a little bit. So you both only have 1 dice, and psychology is an advanced skill, which means you need 2 successes. I'm going to say
dice.
I'm good with 1 dice. I'm going to say it's only difficulty 5. So if you want to add some pool dice, don't forget you've got your party pool as well as your individual pools. Then it's doable.
Okay, 5. All right, I'm just gonna.
Or you can use your party special skill to grant automatic successes after the roll. Don't forget that one.
See how we get on.
Oh yeah.
What are you going to do, 12?
Well, do you want to?
I don't mind rolling.
Are you happy just to roll 1 dice to see if you get?
Yeah. Okay, but you get to choose which color I go for. So, which one should I roll?
Oh, we go with the middle one, the gold-colored one.
Okay, it's on you then. That'll be a 6.
Yay!
Lovely. And so if I knock off one of my strain to add another success.
Yeah.
As an automatic success.
Oh yeah, it's 2 successes, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah, it's good that symbiosis skill, isn't it?
It's really useful.
We didn't choose a new skill for the day as well.
Oh, you didn't know. Would you like to, or are you sticking with firearms?
Could be psychology.
Could be psychology.
Why don't any of us have animal life?
The first roll.
We could leave it at firearms. We think we're going to get a firefight, but I don't think that's going to happen today.
Well, yeah, maybe not.
I think vigilance might be better.
How are you on like mechanics and technology and stuff? Well, I imagine you're pretty high on those.
I'm great at mechanics. I'm expert on mechanics. So what was it on technology? Technology I'm 0 on. So technology
I'm expert on
bad
technology.
Okay. Yeah. In machine, I've got nothing in craft or technology, but I've got beginner jury rig and advanced steer.
Which is ironic because you can't see where you're going.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Just feel
You're really good at steering. You're very good at going left and right.
Yeah, so the skill you choose for your expertise ability has to be something that one of you has at advanced or expert.
Yeah. So I can give you a vigilance, road, ruins, civilization, psychology, smith, weapon, and firearms.
Yeah, I've got
quite
vigilance,
specific.
jury rig, steer, technology. That's it. Those levels.
So was it advanced?
Nobody's got animals.
Nobody has animals. I think
Nobody's got
Yeah.
animals. That's all we
we might need
need.
to do something
nothing.
about
Yeah.
Nothing in man or beast. So it's got to be advanced or more, has it?
Yes.
I can give athletics, brawl, steer, mechanics, or close combat.
that. If there's
What
any
was-
chance that we're going into the forest, athletics suddenly feels like it might be really valuable.
I was going to say, what was dodging? Was that reflexes plus brawl?
That was a.
Because we were going to have to
was
dodge the
brawl.
hornets.
This is exactly where I was
That's all.
going.
I'm just thinking of a way like how can we avoid?
It's a good
thing.
question, actually. What is it?
I think it was brawl.
I think you're right. Defend
I
action.
think close combat was parry. Yeah.
Dodging. Oh, so dodging a ranged attack is reflexes plus vigilant. Dodging a melee attack is reflexes plus brawl or vigilant. Oh no.
Okay.
Why is it brawl or vigilant?
Weird.
See it coming, I guess.
Yeah, I suppose it makes sense.
You either fight it up or you dodge
Is it
it.
a ranged attack if they fire themselves at you?
I suppose, kind of. But yeah, so that was like if it's in combat.
Yeah.
But like you say, athletics might
yeah.
be suitable if
Athletics
it's
might
more
be,
just like
"Run
run,
away!"
kicking,
Yeah.
Yeah.
dodging
Well,
trees.
I don't have that problem.
No,
Might
no,
be steer,
that's
wouldn't
true.
it?
That's true. Yeah, we would be picking a party skill that is absolutely no use for you unless you want to do pull-ups or something,
Yeah.
which might be useful.
True. Yeah, it might be. I don't mind. I'm happy with athletics. If you think it'd be helpful.
Do you think we're going to be going into the forest ourselves this session or this day?
We don't
and
know.
if so,
Well, it's got
are we going to be going in with
you've been kind of-
firearms? Are you going to go with like a flamethrower
Well, we're
or
just in the
some
recon.
bug spray? In which case, firearms might be a good thing to. be
Or
able to
brawl,
spray
or we
that.
just go with brawl just because then we're just not completely screwed if everything goes wrong.
Yeah.
Sorry, everyone. This is not the most exciting bit of the conversation, is it?
We forgot to do it before the start. Yeah. I would say go with brawl.
Yeah, I second that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because
I'm happy with
athletics
that.
has no pip on it anyway, so it's not an advanced skill. So it's not going to be too hard to beat.
Yeah. Mind you, neither does brawl.
Neither's brawl. Yeah, maybe it's just silly.
Meh, let's do it.
If you were swatting away like hornets, Neil, would we use close combat if we were like trying to just bat them away while we?
It depends on whether or not you're using a weapon to swat them.
Exactly.
True.
Yeah.
Let's
Close
go with
combat
brawl.
if you're using a weapon, and brawls if you're not. That's the
Yeah.
difference.
Should we go with brawl then? And at least we can
Yeah.
say we're swatting it as we're
Yeah.
running. And
Yeah.
Let's do it. Right. Okay. Let's
Right.
do some jury rigging or technology.
So you passed. I asked you for the empathy roll to see how well you came across to Al, and you passed with a bit of use of your special skill. So he seems happy enough to help. So I think what we'll do is we'll need a roll, and obviously, well, you're trying to do a few different things here. So how about, I think some of it comes under technology and some of it comes under mechanics.
Yeah.
So how about we have a roll for each. He's going to be helping. So it's going to be accuracy plus technology, and the second roll is going to be accuracy plus mechanics. It's going to be, I mean, it's probably relatively difficult because even with your, you can obviously use your tools and he'll use his tools, but still, it's
a janky old piece of kit at this point.
Yeah, it's hard enough. You haven't got maybe the exact tools that you would ideally like, and you haven't got the exact parts you'd ideally like. So I think I am going to call it a difficulty 9. But I don't think there's going to be too much handicap. because you've got plenty of time. You can, you're not like under pressure to do it or anything. I think maybe I'll give it handicap 1.
Mhm.
Again, just because you haven't quite got the perfect parts and things that you'd want. So difficulty 9, handicap 1. So you need 2 9s. So yeah, that seems about right to me. Difficult but achievable.
Is it
Okay.
2 separate 9s?
So 4 9s in total.
4 9s.
4 9s in total. Yeah. Okay. So I need 2 9s. You need 2 9s.
Yeah. 2 9s. Yeah.
What am I rolling for my technology? Technology and
accuracy.
So 3 in accuracy, 2 in technology, and my ability is builder. So I get +1d when making, repairing, or sabotaging.
Yeah, that definitely counts.
Just going to check what I might get. I've got 2 accuracy, 2 dice in mechanics, and a reroll.
Yeah.
I've got mechanical tools. Does that give me another dice?
Yeah, I'll let you have that. And actually, Phil, you've got, I think this would count, you've got speciality drones.
Okay.
So I think that because the idea of specialities is they are quite broad.
Yeah.
So I think that just means you understand drones well. So I think we can give you enough dice for that as well.
That's good, because I've just rolled 6 dice and not rolled higher than an 8.
Oh, no, really?
I've rolled a 9. So I've got 1 success.
Ah, cool.
And if I add one from my strain, I'll give you an automatic success.
You could do that.
Mark onto my strain.
Sure. Okay.
So
Thank you very much.
you've succeeded. That's okay.
Okay. Cool. How are you
I've
doing?
added one. I've got 2 accuracy, 2 in mechanics with a reroll, 1 for my mechanical tools, and I've put 1 nerve pool dice in. So I've got 6 to roll. I just wanted to check.
I'll add 1 from my strain to assist you as well.
Thank you. Am I working on engines?
Probably not.
No, I don't think so. Sorry.
No, that's fine. Okay, hold off on that strain though, because I might get lucky.
Yeah.
Doesn't look like it. Oh, I've got 1 9.
You got 2 9s now. Boom.
I've got 1 reroll just to do, so let me just roll that.
Fine.
Oh, and it's a 10.
Ah,
It's a 10.
Amazing.
Fine. Where's my eraser? There it is.
Good old Paladin dice.
Yes, they are the best. They always roll a crit when you need one.
Tell me about Paladin dice, Neil.
How do you get them? Well,
Is it guaranteed?
Paladin role-playing.
Guaranteed.
Yeah, you get your money
At least
back.
110 at some point.
Some point.
When you need a 10. There it is.
The best way to get them, Phil, thanks for asking, is go to paladinroleplaying.com and use the code.
Keep doing that.
The code. That one. Don't call 15% off.
15. Where you can find a selection of dice, including the Dice of the Month Club. Is that still a thing?
That is, well, it is a thing, although by the time this goes out, it will be closed until the next opening. It only opens once or twice a year.
Yeah.
So you got to get in when you can.
Yeah. And we're not asking for spoilers, but have you worked out what's next?
Not for next lot, no, because we're only just starting a new one. So as of the time of recording, it's open for a new intake.
What do you mean? This is live.
I mean, yes, that's right. I forgot.
And it's definitely Wednesday.
Definitely
Wednesday.
Yeah.
Well, it's Wednesday plus or minus N days.
Yes. Cool. So,
viewers, what day of the week do you think it is? Let us know in the comments.
I think picture a montage scene here of things to do with screwdrivers and spanners and soldering irons and
other things,
other drone repairing tools, pliers,
Dr. Emmels.
And you do between the 3 of you, all that sort of adding your own different bits of expertise. You do actually a reasonably good job. not an outstanding job. You hit your successes, right? That you didn't surpass them, but that's fine. That's all you needed. And you end up with a. It doesn't look super kind of neat, but a little spraying device, basically just a little nozzle, and then obviously a remote control mechanism to activate it, and just a tiny little sort of canister that you can just fit a little bit. It will slightly unbalance the drone, but it should still be perfectly flyable. An improved battery and a slightly polished up, maybe fractionally clearer screen. The screen's still not amazing, but it's a little bit better than it was. And that probably takes that takes a good, probably couple of hours, I reckon, to kind of get all that done and find the bits and work out what you're doing.
I have wandered off by this point.
I was going to ask, what has Ira been doing? Just sort of sitting there.
I think she definitely would have got bored. Yeah.
Got a coloring book.
You made it sound like we were kind of on a bit of a hill because we looked down at the kind of essentially the wind turbine field. Does that mean we've got a kind of a view of the horizon to an extent?
I mean, it's not like it's up a little bit. So to an extent, maybe.
I was wondering if we could see the power plant that we have the plans for, the blueprints. Or is that literally this?
Oh, no, that's where you are. Yeah.
That's literally this. Then can I turn back to the village and see if I can see a radio tower?
Ah, okay.
Now we're a bit away from the village. I can kind of see the village as a whole.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Pinpoint in my current knowledge of where things are in the village. Be like, oh, that radio tower looks like it's here, or if it's in this one.
I'm wondering whether I should ask for a roll or not.
Yeah, I mean, I could get my scope out to have a proper look and actually give it a proper roll.
Yeah, that's true. That's a good idea.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think this is probably actually going to be, in contrast to those quite difficult rolls, probably an easyish one for you. So this is going to be perception plus. Civilization.
Okay, so another one. And I'm using my rifle. So could I get my one dice for my specialty?
I don't see why not.
Yeah, I'm not going to shoot anyone.
And this is just going to be a standard difficulty 7, just one success.
Yeah, I've got 2.
Perfect. Yeah. So
3.
Yes, you do. It wasn't particularly visible from the village, from kind of walking around on street level. And now you're looking, it's maybe in a bit that you haven't really been to particularly. But there is most definitely a radio mast sticking up from sort of centre-ish, just sort of slightly off centre.
Yeah, so that's potentially where they're using the radio signals to contact the community, wasn't it? And would that be, because it's somewhere I haven't visited yet, I presume it would be in kind of quarters, like where people would be living rather than having shops and machineries. And so it would be somewhere I've gone because it's not a person of interest. It's someone's quarters potentially, or like a back office or something.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
It wouldn't necessarily be something I'd stumble on. Okay.
Yeah.
Worth knowing where that is.
But you can obviously you sort of make a little mental note and you kind of put it in relation to bits you do know, so you could absolutely find it.
Yeah.
If you wanted to. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good thinking.
Cool. Yeah, I'm just intrigued.
And so Johnny or rather 12 said to Ira to kind of keep an eye and see if he was sort of lying or disassembling or whatever.
Hiding anything.
Yeah, hiding anything. Yeah. Is that something I would have been doing at least during the beginning of that conversation? You're muted, Chris.
Yeah, before they got to the boring stuff, definitely.
Yeah, before they started soldering.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So let's get that's definitely going to be perception.
Yep.
And I think psychology. Perception plus psychology.
Okay. 3 dice.
Another quite good one for Ira.
My specialties don't help this time.
No, don't think so.
That gives me, if we aim for 7s, that's 1 success. Wait,
Okay.
hold on. Reroll 2 successes.
Great.
Keep forgetting I have rerolls.
Yeah, they're useful actually. They're really good.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
always forget.
Okay, so no sense that he was lying particularly. You did just get an inkling, and it was when he was talking about what was it? So he's saying that the big problem is not having enough cables, and he mentioned he said, "Oh, look, Laura said maybe there might be a possibility of getting some cables at some point." Whereas when he said that, you noticed something. Definitely, it didn't feel like he was lying about that. It's not that, but something about just a little change in his expression, that there was maybe something that there was something else maybe, or there was some greater meaning behind that apparently quite simple statement, something like that.
I shall not say anything and just make a mental note.
So with upgraded drone, you now have most of the rest of the day to do whatever you like. Obviously, the suggestion was to kind of liaise with Park and Merc about the plans. So maybe you want to do that, or don't know. Maybe you want to do something else. Do you want to talk more to Al? Or are you going to kind of leave him to it?
I just keep thinking that Merc Park sounds like some really interesting training ground. Personally, I'm kind of wanting to just crack on with the task. So,
Yeah,
regardless
back
of
to
whether or
village.
not, yeah, we could do it there, or we could just do it ourselves.
Do you want to get closer though? So do you want to go off in the van to the car park, or do you want to do it from the farm kind of section?
We're gonna need to speak to Merc to get that spray stuff. At the
Yes.
very least.
Oh,
point.
sorry, I thought we were just
Yeah.
looking at stuff. Yeah.
So
Yeah,
You want to do the spraying, definitely. Yeah.
I have a feeling that we would be better off going to the car park to do it. Basically, being outside of the town when we launch the drone, so that if those bastards follow the drone, we get the drone back to the van and we can probably drive faster than they can fly. Whereas if they follow the drone back to the town, that could be bad. He says, realizing he's just given the GM a whole load of ideas.
Can we disguise it as like a badger or something?
A hornet.
Giant hornet.
Yeah.
it sounds silly, but actually, do hornets use sight?
I thought you were going to
Isn't
say, but actually, a badger sounds like a great idea.
Like if it was a remote control car, I'd say yeah, definitely a badger. But
As Phil, I think they probably use like pheromones and stuff. But as Mono, I'd be like, sure, yeah. We just need to make it black and yellow, and it'll be fine.
it's going to be carrying the thing they might not like. So either way,
Yeah.
the smell thing.
What if they
They'll
love it?
just attack
And they
it,
just want more. It's like
Good point.
hornet crack.
Maybe we're doing it the wrong way around. Maybe we should be luring them away and like flying them to like,
luring them into a trap.
Yeah.
that barn. Oh no, the barn's gone. And the other that's quite far actually, wasn't it? That's like a half day's
Yeah,
drive.
that would. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that barn.
The other community. Just
Yeah.
leave them at the other community instead. If we can figure out which way the community is, it's us versus them, right?
All right, let's get back to the village, town,
Yeah.
hamlet, enclave.
Okay.
Do you want to find Merc though, right? You want to get
Yeah,
the
I think we're specifically going to Mark to
liquid or
get
whatever it is.
Yeah.
whatever it is.
Yeah.
Just out of interest, Neil, because I know we mentioned last session about Doc having a look at the corpse. I imagine he'd want to look at it while it was quite fresh, so I imagine he'd probably be doing that this morning. Would it be worth us visiting him just to see if he's made any progress with that as well? Perhaps we'll do Merc first, and then that'll give the GM a bit of time to kind of go, oh yeah.
Are you suggesting by my surprised look that I'd completely forgotten about that?
You did look like you were rebooting for a second. It's like,
Yeah.
Nearly buffering.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. So you obviously make it back to the village without any difficulty. Asking around for Merc, someone tells you that she should be back any minute, and she's been off. So probably actually it sounds like not too far from where you are, over to the east, doing her magic and keeping the ants at bay. And so you kind of just hang out for a little bit and keep an eye open for it in that direction. Sure enough, you see her wandering back into town. She's on her own. She's kind of strolling quite casually back, and she's got some like 2-liter old water bottles, and she's got a couple, and one of them's just got a little bit of this sort of yellowy, browny kind of liquid in the bottom. And as she comes up and you sort of go up and approach her, she gives you a little kind of wave as she sees you. And as you get closer, you can't help but notice the smell coming from generally her vicinity. And it's kind of, it's sort of a very natural but extremely unpleasant smell. Like maybe very strong BO, like a strong kind of sweat sort of smell. Maybe there's a kind of a tang of sewage in there. Maybe some kind of rotting plant. Some kind of unpleasant mix of those kinds of smells.
Oh, you smell really bad.
Yeah. Sorry, that's this. And she holds up the bottle with the little bit.
Didn't elk?
This is the
Urinate
magic
in this?
formula. Sorry, Phil, what's that?
Didn't elk urinate in this?
And she chuckles and she says, "Not an elk, no, not exactly. More like, well, I did."
I think you may need to go see the doc.
I think I might lose a nerve.
Oh no! No, it's not just. It's all different stuff. So basically, I've come
Many
up with
people?
I've come up with this. No. Just what it is. I've come up with this recipe. It works absolutely great on the ants. So I had this idea that what animals do is they mark.
Oh, so it's for the ants. I thought you were just winging a bottle and carrying it around with you. Thank goodness.
No, it's for the ants. So I got this idea that animals mark their territory, don't they? With, dogs will like wee against something or whatever, and they work by smell. And I thought maybe that would work. I mean, ants are a bit different, I suppose, but anyway, these are not normal ants. They're big. I don't know what they're called. I call them yellow crosses because they've got like a little yellow kind of cross on their backs, and they're pretty vicious. And there's a massive colony. I mean, there must be, I don't know, hundreds of thousands, maybe millions. But this is some plants that I found that I boil up that smell particularly strong. Some, well, piss and shit, and sweat. I thought use all of those things that animals use to mark their territory and warn off other animals, mix them all together, make it smell really bad, and it works amazing. And I did suggest, actually, when I first discovered it, that we could try and maybe push the ants away or even maybe destroy them. But Laura suggested, and actually I think it's sensible, that we leave them there because I can reliably keep them at bay and it makes an amazing barrier. If anyone or anything wants to come at us from the east, they can't because they'd have to get through the ants, and there's no way you can travel through those anthills. So it's a really nice natural protection. So it works really well.
Do I want to know what's going to be in the new formula for these hornets?
Well, I don't know. Have you got any suggestions?
I don't know, like bug spray. Have you got any fly
If we
killer
had
or
some
anything?
bug spray, that would be amazing.
Have you got any citronella?
Yeah. That stuff doesn't work. We all know that.
Smells quite nice.
It does smell quite nice.
But you're not supposed to use it indoors. So
Can I suggest? I know that bees, they mark the way to certain, or is that ants? They mark the way to things of the hive by using some sort of pheromones or things like that. Maybe Doc might have some insights into whether we can make something that will either repel or attract them. You might have found
good idea.
something.
It's worth having the chat, isn't it? I think you're thinking of bees, and
veterinarians.
And yes. And I think wasps and bees are different, or hornets and bees are different beasts. But still, it's a good idea. It's worth asking. And she says, anyway, I think the first thing to do is probably, because this works so well on the ants, I think probably let's try this recipe, just unmodified. Try it on the hornets first, and if it doesn't work, then maybe I can try adjusting it. But I reckon give it a try as it is first, because I know this. Or this definitely works. There's absolutely no doubt about it. This works brilliantly well for the ants. So,
how are you actually spraying it to stop the ants? You just pouring it on the floor, or you got a?
She says, yeah, pretty much, and she shows you the bottle, and the plastic lid has just got some holes sort of punched in it, like with a thin nail or something. And she said, this is just a makeshift. I just kind of, spray it around. There's no art to it. Just make sure it gets everywhere. Make sure it forms a really nice line, between the ant colony and the village. That's it, really. It's pretty simple.
Sounds doable. We could try.
Yeah, it doesn't take any great precision. Like I say, I don't know about the hornets, but even if, I don't know if it would, if you sprayed it on them, what they'd make of it. But even if you just spray it around, it might then keep them away like it does with the ants. Who knows?
I just wonder if they'll fly over it. That's all.
Yeah, maybe.
Would we have to do it on the trees? Would we have to just leave it on the floor? If you got it on one of them, they may all attack each other. You just don't know if they got it on themselves.
Yeah, maybe. She says the thing is with the ants, they're not flying ants, so I've never honestly thought about that aspect of an extra dimension. You might be right. If it's going to work, we might need it all up the trees, and so they, so it forms a kind of wall. Don't know.
We can try though.
Yeah, it's got to be worth a try. Have you managed to rig up the drone?
Well, that's Mano's department.
No, I hold it up.
Nice. Yeah,
Here. Pee in this.
well, maybe I'll take that away with me and probably best.
Let's not role play that part, guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's gonna have to roll for
Yeah.
accuracy.
Accuracy. Yeah.
Oh wait, hang on. This game is player facing.
Well, if Merc goes off to fill whatever canister she needs to do, how about we go see Doc at the same time?
Yeah.
That sounds good. Yeah. And 12 will skip ahead in a, last one there's a rotten egg kind of way, but she's really just trying to get there before Mono gets there, just to be like, Doc, cover up the boar, Mono's coming. unless you want your hut burnt down.
Yeah, that's true, because Mono, I think, doesn't know that Doc has a ball. Because it was
maybe Mono should stay outside. Just the doctor's office.
Maybe Mono goes off with Merc to get the filled thing or something, and
that's true.
We'll go see the doc quickly. Yeah, I've been feeling a little sore after last night. We'll catch up with you later, Mono.
Let's split the party.
Yeah. Always. Okay, cool. That sounds like a plan. So, Doc has a sort of a living quarters come surgery, I guess. And there's a little sign out the front that just says Doc. It's just been painted on a bit of board and literally just kind of stuck out the front. And so you go up and he says hello, and you ask after the boar, and he says, "Oh, it's pretty much as you suspected. Definitely the result of some kind of sting or bite, an insect sting or bite. And as we know, the hornets in the woods where the boars come from, of course, that's the obvious suggestion. They are very big sting marks. I dread to think how big these hornets are. I've never seen them. I know Pork has. Pork. What's that? Whatever his name is.
How's that beer, Neil?
Yeah. But I know Park has, and Liar, I believe, as well. But I wouldn't want to get near them, having seen what their stings can do. These poor boars didn't stand a chance, I think. And as far as I can tell, I mean, toxicology is not really my specialist area, but I've run whatever tests I can. There's no sign of any infection that I can find, and I don't think the boar was poisoned as such. I think it was just in a lot of pain. I think it was just, it had been stung multiple times and was just out of its mind in pain. I don't think it was. I mean, the sting is a venom of course of types, but I don't think that's really the big issue. I think it's just that there were a lot of stings on the poor thing's body.
So what we're dealing with is large hornets with extreme pain-inducing stings.
I believe so.
Crazy world we live in. But Mono will probably be happy to know that there is no infection here. So,
yeah, I don't think so. Nothing contagious, no concerns of that type.
that's good news. Is there anything that you happen to know about? I don't know if you're any good with animal life or animalism, and you can tell us about hornets. Is there anything that, if you know what attracts them or what they run away from or retreat from?
At 12,
No.
if you want to learn about things, you could always find the nearest schoolhouse and look for the encyclopedia.
That's a good thinking.
Penguin Book
I
of
mean-
Hornets.
Maybe there's a library or something.
Oh, hey, look, what's this on your bookshelf here, Doc? A beginner's guide to hornets and repellents. Oh. You mind if I borrow this?
The Dummy's Guide to Killing Hornets. Giant hornets.
Giant hornets.
Yeah. He says, no, again, not my area, I'm afraid.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much, Doc. I don't think 12's got much else to add, really. Does Ira have anything?
No, I think we can go back to the others and maybe head off to the forest.
Yeah,
think
should we
it's
go
about
find
time we-
more?
Yeah, let's go take a closer look together.
Great.
So, Mono, Merc gives you a
Slightly warm
plastic,
canister of liquid.
bottle of this stuff, which you very carefully, probably at arm's distance, pour
Yeah.
into the canister and screw it onto the drone. So the drone is ready to go, and presumably you might, I guess, give it a little test kind of spray just to make sure everything's working, and it
Yeah.
all seems to,
And make sure it goes in the other direction.
yeah, all seems to work fine. Merc, I think, would quite like to come with you, and just to be there and to see what effect it has.
Mhm. Well, this is fine, but I need you to understand that the screen on the remote is not so good. So it's hard to see, but we'll work it out. Maybe if you have some other displays, we can hook up in the van temporarily. Otherwise, we'll all end up crowding around this. And if I'm imagining that it's a bit like those of us of a certain age will remember that at one point you could buy portable televisions, and they were
Absolutely. Yeah.
not very portable and barely display the television.
Yes.
But in the early days, I mean, I'm not going back to the days of the portable television that was a CRT, a cathode ray, but when there were LCDs, but just barely. I guess late 80s probably.
Portable radios
Maybe.
in the 90s, like the little TVs on the radio things.
Yeah, that sort of thing. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm probably thinking slightly later.
Yeah, well, you're young.
90s. Yeah,
The young man of the group by, 3 years or something?
it's a lifetime.
It is.
A lifetime.
When we grew up, we didn't have that internet thing. When we grew up, we had tapes and cartridges. When I was young, I had the Edison phonograph wax cylinder. Anyway, yeah, so I'm imagining that the screen's only like this sort of big.
Yeah. That's what I'm thinking.
And yeah, and it's really annoying. And so kind of in the back of my mind, I have this side quest to try and maybe not improve the quality of the screen, but find another way to display it when we're in the van.
Okay.
That's only just come to me. Otherwise, I would have said it earlier when we were looking at repairing the screen.
Can be a minor objective, right?
Yes.
That's
Yeah.
a good idea. Let's make it.
So I was thinking about getting cables as well.
Well, because satellite TV is just not really good enough.
Yeah. I don't want Virgin. I need old school cable. But I literally just
Yeah.
cables to do the
Wiring cables. Yeah.
cable stuff together. Yeah.
I did feel like we roleplayed that there was screens in the van already.
I don't think we
But-
did. I think we were all.
I think
kind
it
of
was probably inferred, wasn't it? Because I think
yeah.
I think what is this? I mean, Okay, let me describe what it says here. The drone is a mix of Mavic Delta parts, old GoPro rotors, and military video monitoring unit. Mono's drone is an unlikely electronic golem made up of spare parts, soldered joints, and duct tape. 62 miles per hour top speed, for a maximum range of 1 mile, equipped with 2 microphones, 2 panoramic cameras, 15 minutes of battery. Can be used to scout, listen, and watch from a distance, although sound and image quality is far from optimal, as it is rendered on the scratched screen of the remote control. And I've shown this before, but I'll show it again. That's an idea of what the remote control looks like in that gratuitous crotch shot right there.
Yeah.
So you can imagine, and I don't know what he's doing with his right hand, to be perfectly honest with you.
Right.
But yes.
It's hitting the screen because it's not working.
Yeah.
Very much.
Yeah.
So, like, if we want to see what's going on, we will have to kind of crowd around the drone. So, I mean, what we around the control.
Well, we're with a survival expert here with Merc. We could possibly get closer if we split the party. We could actually look at them with our own cameras, our eyes.
Sure, you can do this. I'm staying in the van.
Park and Liar said they can get to the distance to see them, and then as long as they don't get too close.
I'm not saying
okay.
I mean, you're the boss and you can do what you want, but I'm staying in the van.
Well, unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to get any closer because I don't know, are these footpaths disabled, accessible?
We can.
I can't exactly go off roading. If I roll over, I'm not going to outrun them.
But you have athletics now.
And we took Brawl.
Oh yeah, we did.
However,
Pounds
I do have these quad bike parts that I could use to upgrade your suspension. Give you a little bit of
quad wheelchair would be amazing.
I mean, I don't think we got the time to be messing with the wheelchair, folks. So.
Yeah.
So you raise a good point though. So that looking at the map, and I guess talking to Merc, who knows the area, there's this car park which is the hiking, start of the hiking trail. So obviously there is a road leading to the car park and beyond. But then the road sort of goes off in the wrong direction and kind of comes out of the woodland again. So so you can certainly get as far as the car park, which would probably be a good kind of staging post at least, and that's sort of in the woods. So you would either then have the options. If you wanted to stay in the van, you could drive there, park, and drone from there, or you could leave the van there, and some of you, if you wanted to, could then head off into the woods, but then you wouldn't be able to get the chair probably. I mean, there will be some little trails through the woods, but it certainly is not going to be easy.
Yeah. I mean, we haven't even established how thick the woods are to say we can fly a drone through it anyway. So we don't know how close you're going to get anyway. So maybe we just start with that.
There are several pockets of hornets.
So if we get to the car park, use the drone to get as close as we can.
Yeah.
Someone can stay in the driver's seat in case we do need to leave. And I don't know, Merc and Mono can look through the screen. Because they're the two most kind of vital to the situation, I guess.
Yeah. See how we get on.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So that's what you do. So you go and retrieve your van from where you've parked it up safely. You explain the plan to Park, and he says it sounds great, and doesn't think you need him particularly, and in any case, it's not good for too many people to go out into the forest at once. So he's quite happy for you to go ahead. So you head off for the little drive up to the car park. So you're in your van. You kind of leave the sort of confines of the village and out into the forest. And it quite quickly gets reasonably dense. It's not, totally sort of impenetrable, but it is definitely what you'd call thick forest land. And this is quite normal for the world as it is now, because nature has been reclaiming everything, and without people to kind of cut back and destroy and build on and so on, it's just been kind of going crazy. Plus the extreme weather conditions have, generally speaking, encouraged plant life. So it's a pretty dense, there's lots of undergrowth, and the trees themselves are very kind of lush. So it's a mixed forest. But you can, as you're driving along, as you're sort of looking out into the forest, you can see some tracks and paths. Obviously, animals make paths and through the forest, so maybe they're deer path or boar path or something. So certainly you would be able to maneuver through the forest for sure. As you are driving, Merc, who you haven't really, she was a little bit kind of standoffish at first, and you haven't had too much interaction with her as yet, not a huge amount. But you did fight side by side with her, because she was one of the fighters when the boar came. And that seems to have sort of warmed her up a little bit. And so she's kind of talking to you as you drive. And she says, I don't want to scare you, but, well, some of the older people, they say some funny things about these woods. And obviously the hornets, well, I mean, the hornets are whatever they are. We're going to have to deal with them one way or another. Hopefully my spray will work with any luck. But, well, it sounds stupid saying it, but there's this rumor. People talk about the silent ones. Now, I've never seen anything, and nobody even is sure what it means. I think it's one of those, just myth kind of things that just goes round. But enough people have said they've seen weird things in the woods for me to think there might be something to it of some kind. And I don't know if you knew, I mean, I don't know if I should be telling you really, but it seems like as we're going out there together, that you should know everything you can. People don't like talking about it for reasons that will be obvious, but we have lost a couple of people. Not recently, it was a while ago. A couple of kids, a couple of youngsters. Lia's son actually was one of them, Adrian. That was God, about 3 years ago, something like that. But then much more recently, the woodcutter's daughter, Elena. Both young, not even teenagers, and they both came out into the woods. I mean, in both cases, it was bad circumstances. They shouldn't have been out here on their own, but for whatever reason they were, and they never came back. And of course there was search parties and everything, really, of course, the people were really upset, and they just, I don't know, they just disappeared. No sign of them at all. And so, because this rumor now, people say they've been taken by the silent ones, whatever that means. I don't know. It's probably stupid. It's probably nothing. I don't know. They're probably two poor, unfortunate kids who wandered off and upset who knows, a hornet, or fell down a hole, or whatever, or maybe the raiders got them. I don't know, but anyway, I just thought we should know. Just we should have our wits about us, just in case.
Thank you for sharing, Merc. Just to be clear, there was no tracks at all from these children. They weren't going off into the woods or anything. Like,
I don't know about Adrian. That was, I was quite young myself then. I wasn't really involved in the, I was too young to kind of get involved in the community business. So I don't really remember that. I mean, I remember it happening, but I don't really know exactly what happened in terms of the search. But the more recent case, like I say, that was only 6 months or so ago, and it was, she'd always she loved the idea. Elena, this is the daughter. She loved the idea of foraging, and she would always go out with the older folk when they went foraging and picking berries, and she loved all that. And she kept asking her dad, can we go in the forest and pick some berries? And he was busy at the time. We had a project. We were renovating one of the big buildings in town, and so he was doing a lot of work with the wood. He was very busy, and I suppose he probably should have been keeping a better eye on her, or someone should. But she decided, so far as we can tell, that she'd be helpful, and she wanted to go. And we were planning a big meal. She wanted to go and pick some stuff for the meal, like she'd seen the older people doing. Went off into the forest on her own, so we think, and we did find her tracks initially, just as they sort of led the village through the farmlands. We knew what way she'd gone, and her dad said they always went in the same way, so it was pretty obvious. We managed to find that, and then, but it's so, and then she gestures out the window. You can see it's so thick that as soon as you go 10-20 meters into the forest, you can't. I mean, maybe if you're an expert tracker, park's pretty good, don't get me wrong, but we just lost any kind of tracks, and then that was it. No sign. Really sad.
I'm sorry to hear this. Just to quickly question, was it the same area of the forest, or different parts of the forest? Just the forest in general?
Different, I think. Like I say, I'm not sure about Adrian, but as I remember, it was sort of further around. It was more out to the west, I think, where Adrian went. And Elena was more this area. So yeah, I don't think. I see what you're getting at. Yeah, I don't think it was the same part of the forest. No.
This seems very, very strange. Thank you for telling us, Mark. I don't know if Ira or Mono have anything else to say about this, but yeah, so we'll definitely keep our eyes open. Just to check, when you say the silent ones and the strange things that people have seen in the forest, are we talking figures, like human figures?
That's what people say. Like some people say, like tiny people. It makes me think of, the elders have all these folk tales from the last world, and they, the things they've told me about goblins and elves and fairies in the forest and leprechauns, and I think it's just that it's something about human nature, isn't it, that we just make up these stories about the, I don't know, things we don't understand. But then again, the world is not like it used to be. I don't know the answer.
Okay, guys, let's keep our eyes out on stalks. It seems it may just be fairy tales. Probably is, but if Merc thinks it's worthy of bringing to our attention, but maybe there's something to it. How are we doing, Mono? Are we almost there?
Huh? Huh? Thought you were driving. No.
I'm just steering.
You-
Great steering.
So you pull up at the car park. It's pretty easy to find. Obviously, completely deserted. There's no cars in it for sure. It's reasonably big. You could probably fit 15, 20 cars in with plenty of space to spare. And it's sort of marked. The edge is marked out with stones and wood down, just to sort of make a little kind of barrier. And there's a little, you get these little kind of map display boards, kind of information boards, and then it's kind of pointing out all the rare butterflies that you can see and the plants you should look for. And it's all sort of faded and you can barely make it out now, but this was obviously quite a busy place that people would come and go for a hike, and you can just about see the red dotted line marking the circular route that people would take. And the forest pretty much surrounds it, and actually there's no sign really now where the hiking path began. Probably it was obvious at one point, but not so much anymore. And it's an old broken wooden finger post with arrows kind of pointing. One of them says "The Rocks" and sort of points off just into dense forest. There's no sign of any human or animal activity. There's no tire marks apart from your own. No people around. No footprints. And probably one of the things you'd routinely get used to doing is checking for the travelers' runes, the little marks that travelers leave to pass on messages. So you look on all the obvious places. The finger post would be an obvious place that someone might mark something. None of them even. And that's quite routine that people will mark as they go through. So probably suggests that actually nobody's been here for quite a while. I mean, maybe not even since the collapse, potentially, but certainly not for a while. So you pull up. Everything's quiet. What's the plan? Get the drone going?
Yeah, definitely.
Cool. And so, just to be clear then, so you're all staying in the van? Is that the idea to start with, at least?
I'm staying in the van.
I'm kind of intrigued by the signpost. But no, I'll stay in the van for now.
Okay.
I'm going to stay in the van as well.
Yep.
Would we have had the foresight to have brought a little bit extra of that
The spray stuff.
smelly stuff? Yeah, just as like, you know what, guys, if this works, it'd be good to have some of it. So I know it smells, but we could just spray it around the van, and just in case,
I don't think I want that smell in the van the whole time.
Just like a circle outside.
Roof rack.
Roll the windows up and stay in the van, and I mean, maybe
I'll
it'll attract
on the
them.
roof.
I think it's perfectly reasonable to say that Merc would have bought a second bottle. I think that's
Yeah.
Okay.
So should we deploy it now, or just until we think actually this is working, and then?
I don't think it's not worth wasting it until you know it works.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Good
I
idea.
agree.
Okay.
It'll take a while for Merc to make some more. Would you like a drink?
Depends how much she drinks. But with that, I still imagine that we've kind of built a hatch into the roof of the van. So I'll kind of open that up, put the drone on the top of the van, power it up.
Yep. Send it off.
Yeah.
Okay. So you're basically just looking for the hornets, I guess, or for the hives, pretty much.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right. how? So, like I said, the forest is quite dense. You can definitely maneuver the drone through the trees. It's not that dense, there's obviously gaps between the trees. But how sort of risky do you want the flying to be? So, because what you could do is you could stay above tree level and have zero risk, but also probably wouldn't see very much. The kind of further in you go, both the further in and the further lower down you go, the harder it's going to be to maneuver the drone, but the better view you're going to get. So what's your kind of risk level there?
I think it was going to be a hybrid approach. I think start up relatively high because it's just easier to cover the distance that way.
Yep.
And maybe using Merc's knowledge if they're able to give us a kind of general idea, and then as we get closer, maybe bring it down a bit. But I mean, drones sound like large insects, so I'm aware that this vibration is potentially going to agitate these gits anyway. So I'm kind of hoping that it won't be too bad. I'm also hoping that maybe worst case scenario, this thing can fly higher than they can.
Okay. So in an emergency, it's go up as much as possible, as quick as possible.
Within reason.
Yeah, within reason. Yeah. Okay, fine. All right. So I think let's get 2 rolls then, please, for the drone. So we'll have an initial kind of standard roll as you just get it going, flying above the treetops. So that's accuracy plus steer plus an extra dice for drone speciality. Cool. Difficulty 7. And just 1 success is all we need.
Oh dear.
Oh.
I will spend a point.
Shall I spend the point?
That's right, I've already done it. And I got a 9. What was the difficulty on that? I forgot to ask.
Just 7.
7.
Oh yeah, no, you did say that, and I did fail it originally. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So I think maybe what happens there is it's a little bit wobbly because you've added this sprayer to it. Your hand.
A bit of wind shear as well.
Sorry.
A bit of wind shear as well.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, exactly. So it wobbles a couple of times, and you lose control a little bit for a second, but you manage to just about bring it back, and you sort of settles down a bit. And Merc kind of gives you a rough idea of where the community believes the hornets to be. So you sort of head for that, and then begin to just you sort of spot on the slightly crappy display what looks like an opening in the trees. So excellent. Let's bring it in there and bring it down and just have a proper look around. So this is going to be a little bit more difficult. So it's going to be the same roll. It's going to be accuracy plus steer. But so I'm just trying to interpret the rules correctly here. So the difficulty is the same because you're still just trying to pilot a drone. So the difficulty won't change because it's the same action. But what is more difficult is the environment makes it more difficult. So it's a handicap. And I think I'm going to give it a handicap.
I've got to die in environment.
I'm going to give it a handicap 2.
Yeah.
So it's the same roll, but you need 3 successes now. So still only 7.
Okay.
But you need 3.
So I'll add a nerve die to that. So 3 accuracy, 1 steer, 1 nerve, 1 for my drone speciality as well.
Yep.
And then I am also entitled to a free re-roll.
You are.
So let's re-roll that 1 there. And I re-rolled it and got a 1. Excellent. So I got 2 7s. I need 1 more.
12, half leaning over, says, "Watch out for that branch there." And I'll using that bit of strain, I'll give the final success.
Okay.
Just gently puts his finger on top of my finger and just slightly moves.
Backseat driving.
What are you doing? Oh, okay. Thank you. I was looking at the wrong corner of this tiny screen.
So you make it down then in a little bit lower, and you just about manage to kind of avoid the branches and trees and bushes and what have you.
One branch.
And you make out a number of nests, all sort of attached to the trees at different heights, and you spot a good half a dozen. You know, in not that long, because obviously you're conscious, even though you've got a new battery, you're conscious of not spending too long. And so your feeling is, given the space that you've explored with the drone, and you've seen half a dozen nests, that there could be, you know, a really significant number of them. Because this is not, you know, you've only found half a dozen, you've spent all day searching a massive area. This is, you haven't spent that long searching a small area, and you've already seen half a dozen. Hard to tell how many wasps might be in each nest, but they are like they're pretty big. So probably a number.
It's fine. 0 isn't a number.
Yeah. However, as you so rightly said, a drone does sound quite a lot like a buzzing insect. And after you've kind of had a look around and you've seen the 6th hive, and you're trying to sort of make a little mental note of trying to work out, you know, to remember where they are. Maybe you're not quite sure what happens. Maybe the drone gets a little bit too close to one of the nests, or maybe you just slightly clip a branch or something. Maybe it makes a noise, or who knows. But you get actually a perfect view, because the camera happens to be facing the hive at the time, of this massive hornet flying out of the nest. And just as it's been described to you, about fist size, give or take. And yes, you get this perfect sort of nature documentary like picture of this hornet leaving the hive and flying straight towards the camera, kind of getting bigger and bigger.
So straight away, I'm going to press the button on the remote control to deploy that spray.
Okay.
I don't know.
Perfect shot, because it's basically right in front of, like I said, it's kind of coming to the camera. Yeah. And you see actually on the camera the little kind of droplets of the spray spraying out. So you can see it's clearly working. And the hornet kind of stops and just hovers. And sort of then backs off a little bit, and you sort of wait with bated breath, and Merc's kind of leaning in, looking at the screen, and it just kind of carries on hovering, and then it comes forwards again, and behind it, first one, then 2, then half a dozen, then a dozen more hornets pouring out of the nest.
Mm-hmm. So I press
up, and the drone, come on brain, the drone gets up a few meters, but you can see on the camera there's hornets everywhere, and then the camera goes black. And I'm assuming actually maybe there's a little kind of connection signal light or something like that on your remote. It blinks off. And that is where we're going to leave it for tonight.
Arsehole. Killing my toys. That was so much fun.
Just improved it as well.
I know. Well, I think you'll find that 12 has ruined my drone. He only had one job, which was to make it like hornet proof.
Didn't roll for that.
Wasn't in the spec, but you know, hornet proofing. It should be a skill.
Yes.
Or an ability.
I'll write to Studio Agate and suggest that that's added to.
Yeah, dear Monsieur Blondel, upon playing the survival kit we realised that there are no rules for
pissing in a very small bottle.
indeed accuracy plus something
Urination.
toxicity.
Toxicity, I like. Yeah,
Relief.
that works.
Yeah.
That was so much fun. Thank you so much, Neil.
Very welcome.
Yeah, thanks, Neil.
And
That was fun.
yeah, it's been good. I hope you've enjoyed it. Please let us know in the comments. Please like and subscribe if you did. If you did enjoy it, that is. Discord link down below. We'll be back next Wednesday for another Wasteland Wednesdays. This has been Vermin 2047 from Studio Agate, written by Julien Blondel. I've been Phil. That's been a wall. That's been Neil, Chris, and Johnny. We'll be back next week. Thank you, everyone. I hope you had fun. And until next time, I hope your dice rolls are not needing so many strain dice and are way better than mine. Take care, everyone.